взяли, затащили две авиационные группировки в Средиземное море. Хочу сказать, это не угроза, то, что сейчас по моему поручению военно-воздушные силы, военно-космические силы России начинают на постоянной основе патрулирование в нейтральной зоне воздушного пространства над Черным морем. И наши самолеты МиГ-31 вооружены комплексами «Кинжал». Они, как известно, имеют дальность свыше 1000 километров со скоростью 9 махов.
Hello and welcome back to the Cross Reference. That was Vladimir Putin, not threatening, but kind of threatening the U.S. naval presence in the Mediterranean Sea. I'm Joe Shrew. Thank you for joining me today. Remember, before we get into it, do the cool stuff. Subscribe, hit the bell, like and share if you like this kind of content. But yeah, so with everything going on in the Middle East with Israel and Hamas and the Gaza Strip, and everybody is starting to take sides and choose their sides. Have you chosen your side yet? I mean, come on. If not, you better get on it. If we go over here to X, formerly known as Twitter, and just type in Palestine protests, and you'll see that that all over the world, Egypt protests for Palestine. Oh, you gotta love this one. Check this out. Kids who are too young to attend protests in the street to show their support for Palestine organized a demonstration on Roblox. Digital protests. 2023, man. Let's see. Turkey stands with Palestine. Of course they do. Well, let's see here. That's same thing. What's this? Pro-Palestine protest in Sydney, Australia. The people are with Palestine. Anyways, and it goes on and on. So, have you chosen a side yet? So, we're going to take a look at what Ezekiel chapter 38 has to say. Now, in Ezekiel chapter 38, Ezekiel is prophesying. Now, he is prophesying about a coming war, and a lot of biblical scholars believe that what Ezekiel is prophesying about is the Battle of Armageddon, the very last battle that the Antichrist, he gathers all the troops of the world who are set and to go against the true and one King, Lord of Lords, Jesus, and the Antichrist gathers the troops and to march on Jesus Christ. And the book of Revelation says he slays them with the sword of his mouth. With a word, they're slaughtered. Now, a lot of biblical scholars think that that's what Ezekiel is talking about here. And then other biblical scholars tend to think, well, no, this doesn't sound like it completely lines up with the Battle of Armageddon in the book of Revelation. And I tend to agree with the latter, that this is not the Battle of Armageddon Ezekiel's prophesying about. But in Ezekiel's prophecy, and we're going to go through it, in Ezekiel's prophecy, he lists a bunch of countries that are going to come against Israel. And now this prophecy was roughly about 2,500 years ago. Let's see, 500 BC, around there. So yeah, about 2,500 years ago. And so the countries listed in Ezekiel's prophecy that are going to come against Israel are all named different than what they're named today. And we're going to go over that and take a look at how that looks right now with everything going on over there in the Middle East. But first, let's get to Ezekiel chapter 38. Now, verse 1, the word of the Lord came to me. Son of man, set your face against Gog in the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I'm against you, Gog, chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. I will turn you around and put hooks in your jaws and bring you out with your whole army, your horses, your horsemen fully armed, and a great horde with large and small shields, all of them brandishing their swords. Persia, Cush, and Put will be with them, with all their shields and helmets. Also Gomer with all its troops, and Beth Togarmah, from the far north with all its troops, the many nations with you. Get ready, be prepared, you and all your hordes gathered about you, and take command of them. After many days you will be called to arms. In future years you will invade a land that has recovered from war, whose people were gathered from many nations to the mountains of Israel, which had long been desolate. They had been brought out from the nations, and now all of them live in safety. You and all your troops and the many nations with you will go up, advancing like a storm. You will be like a cloud covering the land. This is what the sovereign Lord says. On that day, thoughts will come into your mind, and you will devise an evil scheme. You will say, I will invade a land of unwalled villages. I will attack a peaceful and unsuspecting people, all of them living without walls and without gates and bars. I will plunder and loot and turn my hand against the resettled ruins and the people gathered from the nations, which rich in livestock and goods, living in the center of the land. Sheba in Dedan and the merchants of Tarshish and all her villages will say to you, have you come to plunder? Have you gathered hordes to loot and to carry off silver and gold, to take away livestock and goods and to seize much plunder? Therefore, son of man, prophesy and say to Gog, this is what the sovereign Lord says. In that day when my people Israel are living in safety, will you not take notice of it? You will come from your place in the far north, and you and many nations with you, all of them riding on horses, a great horde, a mighty army. You will advance against my people Israel like a cloud that covers the land. In days to come, Gog, I will bring you against my land, so that the nations may know that I am proved holy through you before their eyes. This is what the sovereign Lord says. You are the one I spoke of in former days by my servants, the prophets of Israel. At that time they prophesied for years that I would bring you against them. This is what will happen on that day, in that day. When Gog attacks the land of Israel, my hot anger will be aroused, declares the sovereign Lord. In my zeal and fiery wrath, I declare that at that time there shall be a great earthquake in the land of Israel. The fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, the beasts of the field, every creature that moves along the ground, and all the people on the face of the earth will tremble at my presence. The mountains will be overturned, the cliffs will crumble, and every wall will fall to the ground. I will summon a sword against Gog on all of my mountains, declares the sovereign Lord. Every man's sword will be against his brother. I will execute judgment on him with plague and bloodshed. I will pour down torrents of rain, hailstones, and burning sulfur on him and on his troops, and on many nations with him. And so I will show my greatness and my holiness, and I will make myself known in the sight of many nations. Then they will know that I am the Lord. So there's Ezekiel chapter 38 for you. Now, we're going to go through this list of these countries that Ezekiel lists off that are going to go against the land of Israel in this time that Ezekiel was prophesying. Now, God said in many years, in the distant future. So obviously this Ezekiel is prophesying about something in the far future. And so if we go over here and we go to the John Eckenberg show, and this is their article section, they kind of list off these countries that Ezekiel mentions in his prophecy, and they give you the current day locations. But what we're gonna do, this is for visual sake, we're gonna take this right here. Now, the first lands that we hear in Ezekiel's prophecy. Okay, stay with me. We're gonna do a little geography lesson here. Now, first off, in verse 2, he says, "Son of man, set your face against Gog." Gog, right here. Now, scholars tend to think, and rightfully so, that Gog is not a mention of a nation, so to speak, but more of a title for a leader of a nation, like Caesar, Pharaoh, president, prime minister, king. Gog is a title for an individual. And if you read it in context, where he says, I'm against you, Gog, and down here he says in some other spots, speaking as of Gog as of being a person. Now, it says, "Son of man, set your face against Gog of the land of Magog." Now we have the land of Magog. Well, where is Magog? Okay, so Magog is right here. Okay, and it's Kazakhstan, right around this area. Now we're going to go to Google Maps here. We got Magog right there by this body of water. And if we look at this body of water right here, there's Kazakhstan. Okay. There's Kazakhstan. Let's move on. What's the next country he mentioned? And the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Now, who's the chief prince? Apparently, contextually speaking, that would be Gog. Meshech and Tubal. All right? Meshech and Tubal is right here. Now, if we go to Google Maps, that's going to be right here. Okay? Now, if we zoom in, you see this border here, right? You got Georgia to the south. This border is Russia. Okay? I want to get back to where I was. Get that centered back where I was. Now, this border is Russia. Russia goes all the way down here, all the way up here. Russia's huge. When you look at it on a map, you really get a full understanding of how big Russia really is. But, so, Meshech and Tubal. That is Russia. Okay, let's continue. Persia, Cush, and Put will be with them, all with shields and helmets. Now, Persia, let's start over here with Put. Here's Put, which is more of the Libya area. And on the map, we're going to go over here. There's Libya right there. And let's see, what was the other one? We have Cush, Persia, Cush, and Put. All right. So, Put is more of the Libyan area. Cush is down here with which consists of Sudan and maybe parts of Ethiopia. Okay. And then we have Persia. Persia's right here. Now, see, back in the Persia used to consist of this entire, purple region, which now is separate countries. So, Persia would include modern-day Iraq, Iran, I can't really read that one down there, it's too small, Afghanistan and Pakistan. Okay? So right around here, here is where Persia would be when Ezekiel was prophesying about it. And then there was one more, wasn't it? Gomer and Beth Togarmah. So let's take a look. Gomer's right here. And if we come up here, that's just west of the Black Sea. If we come here, that'd be like the Romanian area. Right there. That would be Gomer. And then the last one Ezekiel mentions is, I believe, Beth Togarmah. Yep, Togarmah. And that one is going to be right here. Modern day Turkey. Right there. So, when it all comes down to it and we break this down, it's going to kind of look like this when Ezekiel's prophecy comes into full fruition. Okay? Israel in the center, surrounded by her enemies, and everyone coming in on her. Israel is right here, in the middle of conflict. Now, why do I bring this up? Because if we're not paying attention, we can easily miss stuff. Especially when we're looking at a prophecy that is using names of countries that we're just like Meshech, Tubal, Magog. These are the lands. When you look at it on the map and you look at the modern day, today's names of those countries, it starts to come into a more clear vision. Is it being fulfilled right now? I don't know. Would it be foolish of us just to ignore it? Definitely. That's why we're having this discussion. Now, if we come over here, and I want to take you guys here. This is from the Hill. Okay? And this is from July 13th of this year. Okay? And the Hill reports, Iran just joined a pact with Moscow and Beijing. Here's what it means for the U.S. On July 4th, as the U.S. was celebrating its 247th birthday, Iran was celebrating the birth of a new multipolar world order intended to replace the current unipolar American-led order. As Russia's state-owned Persian language news agency Sputnik put it, Iran's entry into the Shanghai Cooperation Organization did not occur on America's Independence Day by coincidence. Iran's kind of trying to leave the American order of the world, as it were, And they're joining up with Moscow and Beijing. Moscow as in Russia, you know. So there's your alliance with Meshach and Tubal, right? Let's go back here. Let's go back here. Nope, that's not it. Where is it? So Persia, Iran, joining up with Meshach and Tubal, right? Let's continue. Let's continue. This from Pravda.ru. Turkey moves to the Russian side of the barricades. Now, this is just from the other day, right? Yep, from October 17th. Not too long ago, it was believed that Turkey could let a U.S. aircraft carrier into the Black Sea to help armed forces of Ukraine. It is impossible to make such assumptions now. Why is that? Why is it impossible? Turkey condemns U.S. actions. The new war between Palestine and Israel has changed a lot. The deployment of 2 U.S. aircraft carriers to the Mediterranean Sea for preventative measures against third countries raised the eyebrows in Turkey. Now, the new war between Palestine and Israel has changed a lot. So Turkey's saying that this conflict going on is kind of pushing them towards pushing them into the arms of Russia, Meshach and Tubal, and Turkey being Beth Togarmah, according to Ezekiel's prophecy. And what's interesting is, and I gotta say this: the deployment of 2 U.S. aircraft carriers in the Mediterranean Sea. Well, as of today, as you're watching this video, it's a lot more than 2 aircraft carriers, from what I'm seeing. We're escalating our naval presence over there in the Middle East rather drastically, and for good reason. I mean, if we come over here to Reuters, I think it is. White House says Iran actively facilitating some attacks on U.S. military bases. Iran, think Persia. The White House on Monday. Now this is from October 23rd. So, 2 days ago? The White House on Monday said Iran was in some cases actively facilitating rocket and drone attacks by Iranian-backed proxy groups on U.S. military bases in Iraq, Syria, said President Biden. And President Biden has directed the Department of Defense to brace for more and respond appropriately. Now, I don't know if you guys saw, but a couple of days ago, Joe Biden was giving a press conference and he had to leave in the middle of it. He actually said, "I'm sorry, but I have to go to the Situation Room. There's an issue that needs to be addressed." So he left, claiming that he had to go to the Situation Room, which is, where our commander-in-chief goes to make plans for war, military movement. So all of this going on, and it's just getting, by the time you see this video, something else could have broke. But the point is to be like, okay, look, you have Persia and Beth Togarmah and Meshach and Tubal all joining up. Now what happens, what we need to keep our eye out before we jump to all these conclusions, what we need to keep our eye out for is what happens if we start to see Libya and Sudan and Ethiopia and Romania. What happens when we see them start to, want to get involved in this conflict and start to create alliances against NATO, America, and Israel? World War III has been trending on X for probably about a week now. Because if you look at what's going on, everybody is choosing sides. Everybody is choosing their sides. And people are taking to the streets all over the country. They're making video game protests. Everybody is choosing a side. Are you pro-Israel? Are you pro-Palestine? And now we're seeing countries start to choose their sides. Are you pro-Palestine or are you pro-Israel? So countries are choosing their sides militarily. Was Ezekiel prophesying the makings of World War III? Or World War III itself? I don't know. We just need to pay attention. We would be remiss if we did not see Ezekiel's prophecy and then see what's going on today and not take a little bit of pause and just pay attention, pray for discernment, and just be ready for whatever may come. But anyways, as we march headlong into this crazy world we find ourselves in, just hold close to God and stay in prayer. And we'll see what happens. It's all in his hands, right? Anyways, if you like this type of stuff, do all the cool stuff. Like I said, do all the cool things. Subscribe, hit the bell, like, and share. And anyways, thank you guys for joining me. And remember, whether you eat or drink, always, always, always do it to the glory of God. Catch you soon.